Aloha mai kako. It's really in that sense that as long as that I've been able to stand on the deck of a voyaging canoe, it was always told to me, and I believe it to the depths of my soul, that we never sail alone. That we, those of us that are gifted with the time to spend on the deck of the canoe together, travel in the wake of our kupuna in this present time, so that we ensure that the future of our people as a whole will continue. And that for each one of us that stands upon that deck of that voyaging canoe, there are at least 100 that stand behind us. And if tonight is any indication, there's at least 400 behind each one of us that get to stand aboard the deck of our canoes. And it's really in humility that we stand on the deck of that canoe, because we understand that the reason that we stand there is for our families, that we stand there for our communities. And we stand there so that the world will know that we come from this tiny little dot in the middle of Moana Nui Akea, but we come from the greatest people on the face of the earth. It's in that sense that as Hokule'a and Hikianalia left from Hilo on May 30th, and that as they voyaged, as Nainoa put it, with this next generation of young navigators to ensure that these traditions would continue. The canoes also left with a kuleana, and the purpose of the voyage being malama honua, to care for our earth, to care for our homes, so that we all would understand that it belongs to each one of us, as Pua said from the beginning, that this voyage is not for any one organization or for any individual canoe. It is for us as individuals to understand our part, our kuleana, our responsibility to this place that we call home. That we carry that responsibility with us. It's a personal voyage, but that we do it jointly together. And it's really in that sense that as Hokule'a and Hikianalia left the shores of Hilo, this thing called technology that we've never had before on the canoes have now allowed the world to tune into the voyage, to track the voyage like no other voyage that we've had before in the past. So it's in that sense. Paul, can you pull up the tracking map? If you go to hokule'a.com, how many of you have been onto this site? Awesome. It's amazing to me because, like I said, from past voyages, we've never had something like this before. This is where Hokule'a is at right now. If those of you have been following along, what island are they in right now? They're in Rangiroa. And so really it's in that sense that as Paul pulls out on this tracking map, like I said, never before have we had something like this. And really the main reason for having this is because when we sat as the leadership of the voyaging canoes. 5 of us that were given pull by our teacher, our father, Maupiailuk. Shorty Bertelman, Nainoa Thompson, Bruce Blankenfield, Kalepa Babayan, and myself, that this voyage needed to be shared with the world so that we all could be a part of it. Through this great thing called technology that I barely know how to use myself, but it allows all of us to be a part of the voyage at any time. So you can go onto this website called Hokule'a.com and travel along with us. And through a group called OIVI that's headed by Keone Lee and Na'alehu Anthony, and the men and women from OIVI that are on board each one of the canoes that are sending back videos, as you saw Jenna earlier speaking from the canoe, so that we can go into classrooms from the canoes and interact with students, not just here at home in Hawaii, whether it be in Tahiti or New Zealand or in South Africa or in Brazil or in New York City. All these places that the canoes will be traveling to, so that we can see how connected we are. Just like Paul's doing, if you click on one of these dots, he'll tell you exactly where the canoe is. The information the navigators don't have aboard the canoe, but you have access to. Which is a little dangerous, because when we send back our reports, they might differ from what you see on here. But believe me, the navigators are always right. It's in that sense that as we travel around the world on this 4-year voyage, it's like was said earlier, we do take each and every one of you with us. We are anchored to our homes. It's what directs us. It's what calls us home. It is that gives us clarity during the storms, during the time when there's no wind. And it's just like Mao told us. We stayed together. Each one of us. Never forget to stay together. That no matter what comes, what happens, stay together. And that as the crew members who will be embarking on the next leg of this voyage from Tahiti to the Cook Islands to Samoa, this evening with you we make happy. Because it's also what Mao told us to do before we leave. We celebrate. And tonight we make happy with you. And mahalo to each of you for being here this night. And I invite you to come along with us on the voyage as we sail around the world, to bring the canoes home. And I'll leave with you one thought. When we come home in 4 years, when we return in 4 years from this voyage, what will Hawaii look like? What will our home look like? What will our communities look like in 4 years? Will they be better? Will they be the same? Will they be worse? That's our own individual responsibility. And we hope for the best, because that's where we come from. I come from the best community on this moku. I come from the best island on this moku. That's who I come from. And that's who I take with me on this voyage. Mahalo nui.